if this podcast was a human, it would now be old enough to steal because this is 18.
No, it's to 18. Drive. No, to buy alcohol. No, wait, to vote.
It's one of those. It's one of those things.
It's one of those ages.
This is episode 18. It is called finally joint operations that we can talk about. That's what it's called.
I was gonna say, don't just throw a name out like now. You just have to name the podcast that episode name.
I'll
name. Even think about it.
I'll name the podcast when I'm making the image because I go all out for these podcast episodes. I make album covers for each one. So this is the joint operations podcast.
I'm your host, Adam Sadler,
and I am. Introduce me.
Adam's brother.
Thank you. We are authors primarily. No, we're actually game designers. Wait, no, we're musicians.
I would say primarily
video gamers.
White guys. Middle-aged white guys.
Middle-aged white guys decided, man, we need to do a podcast.
People want to listen to us talk about stuff.
So we're here to talk about some interesting developments. But first off, what we've been doing that's not in regards to those interesting developments is I think we talked about it last time, but we finished a book. We got a novel coming out. I forget if we were done with the book. I think we were still working on it.
I think it was done.
I don't know, man, because I think I would have talked more about the release date and the ARC readers we're doing right now because I didn't talk about that at all. Okay. So I don't think we were done with it, but now we are done. It is a nice, sweet, short story, about 60,000 words, quick read. Getting some good
it's feedback. Because I was involved, so I kept it light. And
I think it was because it was unplanned and unscripted.
That's what I mean. It wasn't Brady just writing everything in his mind.
So yeah, we got that done. It's going through editing right now, but we are doing some ARC readers, which is a fancy term for advanced reader copies. It's a term they use to get reviews out there before a book is released. But because I am not very good at like sitting on something for 6 months, because that's usually you have a book release, it's like 6 months out to a year out, and you collect all these reviews and make sure the release is as good as possible. But we're just putting it out there because we're gonna be going to Gen Con, which wasn't.
That's also new news.
Yeah. Which we get to spend the whole episode talking about how cool Gen Con's gonna be.
That ties into the other thing we're going to talk about, so we'll come around and discuss that. But the whole Gen Con thing led to some other discussions we had and things we'll talk about this episode.
So stick around because this episode is sponsored by Weezer Tweezers, which is I was kind of thinking Weezer. I was thinking of like some tweezers that were specifically made for weasels, but I said Weezer. Did I say Weezer or Weasel? Weasel tweezers.
If your weasel has something stuck in its tooth, use your Weezer tweezer.
Yeah, I think we should be careful because I will literally make fake commercials and make this podcast just be a bunch of fake commercials. Because
yes, and if you don't think about it, you're going to say something that's either like racist or offensive or.
Probably. I'm not good at improv, so. But anyway, yeah. So we'll get into a little bit of some news because I wasn't planning on doing Gen Con. And I'll tell you, I'll get the details later when we're talking about, going to Gen Con. But July's been pretty busy because I had a couple of appearances in June, some book signings, but now that we have Ransom Creek Remains, we have some early copies we're going to be selling. I think this coming weekend. This comes out on the, what is it, the 8th or 9th? Yeah, the 8th. This will be dropped 8th.
Yeah.
And this Saturday, I'll be doing a book signing in Lafayette, Indiana, followed by appearing at the Mosey down Main Street again. Maybe Adam's going to be there. I don't know, because we have a book to sell. So
hopefully it's not 90 degrees outside.
I mean, even if it is, like, it was like 85, but like when the sun was going down and you get the breeze in, it felt pretty nice. And I was in
my flippy floppies.
Put your flip flops on. Make sure your toe is tight.
My toe is tight.
But yeah, so we'll be doing the Mosey down Main Street in Lafayette, and then the following weekend, I don't think I'm doing anything, but the weekend after that is another signing in Carmel, Indiana, in Barnes & Noble. But then after that, it's Gen Con. And I wasn't expecting to do Gen Con, so now I'm scrambling to find books because I also, when I filled out my original form for Gen Con, I didn't expect to have a book that we both did that I have to like get it through editing and get it printed and everything.
Yeah, speaking of which, if you did sign us both up there, would you still only have access to one extra badge, or would you have
because it's per table. Like you can, there are tables you can like apply for, like either as a publisher or like you can share, but like it's still just limited because it's like 2 seats because you have 2 chairs. And, I think like if you go for as a publisher, I think there's bigger tables you could have more badges.
I should
for,
mention that we were not planning on going to Gen Con at all, even as guests, because I decided after last year we got exhibitor badges with Steamforge, and I don't really ever want to go to Gen Con without an exhibitor badge, because it's really just standing in line before the door opens, and it's like, and we know a lot of people in the industry, so it's nice to catch up with people when it's quiet in the hall and like there's not tons of people around. And
that's the big deal, because like going as a guest is fun and all, and it's like it's cool to be like a consumer, but because there's a lot of people who ask to see us or like want to meet up, it like really cuts into those opportunities you can actually do that. It like, you know, if you go in before the actual crowds hit, so it's more or less about like avoiding those crowds and more just about like being able to do all the things we need to do. It's only about luxury.
Avoiding the crowd. It's only about avoiding the crowds.
If you've been to Gen Con, you probably can understand that. You can probably empathize. But
I've been hit with so many backpacks with people turning around real quick at Gen Con.
Yeah, so like I guess we can get like, unless we have something else to talk about, we can get into like the whole Gen Con the story about what led up to that, and then we'll talk about what other doors that opened, unless there's something else.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, one thing I wanted to mention was that like last time we were talking about we were doing this, I was kind of like diving in deep to Unreal, to, like video game stuff, and I was having a lot of fun with that. Like I was spending all of my free time with video game development, and I started getting into Godot, which thanks to Corey Kineska for bringing that up, because he's been working on a game of his and he uses Godot, and so I kept hearing good things about it. It's a very lightweight framework, and I wanted to check it out, and it is awesome. Like I had a lot of fun. I bought a little sprite pack and I started making a Malice of Light video game, and it's really cool, but it takes so much of my time. And while I was doing it, I had all these I was getting all these ideas for like game design stuff, and I was like, I just wish that I could get this to the table faster to play, and not like this video game stuff is awesome, but it's very time consuming, especially when you're doing it by yourself, and it's very reliant upon assets. And if you want to make those assets yourself, that's even more time. So I was trying to decide like how I wanted to progress with a video game, but then I took a break. I was like, I had this idea for this game, and it's like it's perfect for a board game, and that's kind of like where this whole discussion leads. So you can talk about Gen Con.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because like and this kind of goes into the Gen Con as well, because we like I said, we haven't really attended Gen Con like all out in a while, because like since pre-pandemic, I think, when we were still working at Blacklist, so like we just didn't have like a place or a quote unquote home to go to Gen Con and like set up a booth, and but like I kind of miss that in a way, because it like we took such a break from being game creators, and I think that's kind of what you're hitting on with doing video game stuff. It's like it kind of reminds you about like why I think we got into video game development in the first place, because
you
like
mean board game development.
Yeah, did I say video games?
Yeah.
Well, because I was going to say, like, because we like video games so much, we play them so much, we grew up on them, but at the same time, like, there's so much about the video game themes and everything that, like, you can do quicker to the table with board games, and, like, you get to, like, experience it different ways. So I think it just, like, it naturally, even observing it, seeing the video games being made, I'm like, man, I want to make a board game again, because it just...
Well, also, this is also something to talk about, because we played the new Kill Team Joint Ops the Typhon Kill Team box came in, and I got my Tyranids all assembled and primed, and so we got a game in 2 days ago? Yesterday? I don't know. Recently.
It was on Saturday, I thought.
And that was another thing, too, where it's like we've been playing Space Marine and, Dark Tide and stuff, which is awesome, but like, being able to get some Warhammer to the table, it's like, man, that's kind of where my love of gaming... I've always loved video games, but like I really got deep into tabletop when I started getting into Warhammer and things, so... lately, it's just been sparking a lot of stuff. I think I've had a long enough break from the board game industry that it's kind of like calling me back again. And I told myself I wouldn't ever force myself to like, we've been offered every now and then some contracts, stuff like that. I wouldn't force myself into a contract for a game that I wasn't feeling like motivated to do. And one thing we've been putting off, I guess, do you want to go further into Gen Con before I get into this tangent?
Well, yeah, because I mean, I guess kind of
I'll go
Gen Con
away.
thing is short, because, like I mentioned before, at the start of the year, we were talking with Richard Lanius about a couple different game design ideas, because Richard's a big fan of our Hour of Need game and our Brook City game, which two are games we really, really liked. We'd love to revisit.
Brook City.
But anyway, like that kind of got me thinking about Gen Con a lot. So like I had applied to be a author at the Authors Avenue in Gen Con, which is like not a huge it's a pretty small section where they have the Artist's Alley, then the Authors Avenue. And at the time I thought I'd be like a shoe-in, because I have a game design background. I've been doing a lot of games. I have like every Gen Con 15 years, in some sort of like presenter capacity. So I figured, oh yeah, I'm a shoo-in. So I applied, but then I found out that I didn't get in. And I was like, oh, that's a bummer. And I found out that I filled the form out wrong because there was like a questionnaire, and I had no idea they were going to be basing their decisions on like the quality of these answers. And one of them was something like, how do you plan to promote your presence? And I was kind of confused when I was filling this out because I was doing it in a hurry because I wanted to make sure I hit the deadline. So I just put something like, oh, I'll have signs and I'll have bookmarks to pass out, stuff like that. But I think they were like asking like, what kind of social media presence do you have? Like something more thoughtful. And I didn't put any thought into it, so I didn't get it. So that really bummed me out. So like I think, and this was like right before I broke my leg too. So like 2025 started off really low. Like even though I had a lot of plans I wanted to do, nothing was really panning out. Skip ahead. Adam and I are working on Ransom Creek Remains, and I'm healing from my leg, and I get this random call, and I think this was like what 2 weeks ago maybe. I forget. I think it was like right after the podcast dropped, the last podcast we did. But anyway, I got a call. I thought it was a spam call because you keep getting these spam calls from random area codes, and this one was from Seattle, and I ignored it, of course, and then like called back like an hour later, same number. So I answered this time, and it was Gen Con asking if I was still interested in getting a table because they had someone fall through. So I got in, which is fortunate because once you get a table, you can every year you have first dibs if you want to do it again. I mean, it's expensive, but like,
Is it more expensive?
No, it's expensive just to get a table, but like...
Just a quick question about that spam call. Did it say possible spam, or did it just have...
I think it did. Oh, well, I might be mistaken on the first call. I think they were just similar numbers. Maybe it was a different number, but the second time it called, it didn't say possible spam. It just said Seattle. And I had like this really minuscule thought in my head, because I know Justin and, our friends out in Seattle. I didn't think it was him calling me because I have his number programmed on my phone. But like, I think something game, because there's lots of game places out there. There's like there's the Wizards of the Coast, all these D&D studios and stuff. And I was thinking maybe it's tabletop related, and I answered it, and it was Gen Con. So nice little, surprise. But also, like I said, I wasn't planning on it. So now I'm trying to figure out how many books to bring. Like I have no idea, because all my books are print on demand. So I got to like order them way in advance, and they're not cheap to get like bulk, supply of them. So we'll see if I have enough. But if you're going to Gen Con, you're listening to this, come to the Author's Alley, we're going to be hard to miss because we'll have a table that's like right on the edge of Author's Alley, and I'll have a bunch of signage. You'll see our Ransom Creek Remains book cover and stuff. So pretty stoked about it. Pretty stoked.
Yeah, I think that a combination of when I was working on video game stuff and then like the Ransom Creek Remains process kind of got me back into that mindset, or like, not, back into that habit we used to have of like collaborating on projects and games, stuff like that. I've kind of been pushing it away ever since I left the industry back in, was it 2021 or 2022? 2022. I think I left in 2022. And I've been working in software since then, and obviously anybody who's familiar with the tech world knows how the tech job market is lately, and it's not really fun. It's not really fun to think about. But I've kind of been like, just working. I decided to take a product manager job to get out of software engineering. So I'm kind of like more on the product management side of things, which is very similar to a lot of things I did back when I was in board games. So I'm in that mindset again. But also, it kind of not working on software engineering kind of frees up my mind to think more, and it's leaning towards the creative side of things. And when I was working on this video game, I just had this idea for this game concept that Brady and I've been pitching back and forth for a while for a game set in one of his books, universes. And all of a sudden just decided to start noodling on that. And it felt inspiring. And it's like, man, I think that I want to actually do this for real. And one thing that Brady and I have been discussing ever since back when we were working at Blacklist was if we wanted to, ever do a game on our own, like be our own publisher, because we've always worked with publishers and we always have to, sacrifice some things we want to do by working with publishers. And everybody knows, who might be familiar with our career, know the things that have happened to us because of publishers and things out of our control. And it really kind of killed the inspiration for working in games, and being treated different by certain people online also like just made you feel like so unwanted in an industry. So that's kind of what drove me to be like, convince myself I don't want to do that anymore. And I think that I'm on the other side of that now, where I'm not saying that, ready to jump right in and work full-time in games again, but like I definitely want to make a game again. And I think that Brady and I have what it takes to do our own do our own game.
Yeah, I think a lot of that goes back to how, like, there were a lot of unknowns we had about, like, you know, doing everything on your own, because everyone kept telling us, like, people would be like, why don't you guys just do your own studio? And I was like, heck no, man, I don't want to worry about X, Y, and Z. But, like, once I started doing, like, self-publishing, like doing books, which is a whole different thing, obviously, but to the degree now where I'm doing, like, all this marketing myself, and, like, the, you know, the writing, production, like, all from start to finish, all the way through commissioning editors, commissioning artists, like, so much of that is what we would be doing anyway if we were doing our own games. And it's stuff that I enjoy. Like, I really enjoy it. I actively, it's like a lot of time and it's a lot of hard work, but I really enjoy it. Like, as opposed to, you know, if you work at a company, you might not always love what you do for that company. But like when you're doing something that you're creating and you're putting all your effort and time and money into, it's so much more valuable and so much more enjoyable. So it's way more appealing to me now, like, having done this with books, that I would love to give it a shot. And I think it's a bigger deal too, because we're not designing with somebody else's vision or under someone else's constraints, where we can just, like, make a game we want at what pace we want, and then, like, we make all the final decisions, like what art we want, what characters, what types of stuff we don't want in the game, like pop culture references and stuff. Like, we can just make all these decisions and be the arbiters. And it is kind of, like, telling, because we've got asked so many times by people in the industry, like, why don't you guys make your own games? Why don't you just do your own studio? And now it's seeming much more viable and much more possible and less scary for me. So yeah, I think we'll definitely keep pushing that along. And even if we end up partnering with publisher, maybe we'll still have control over it, because it's going to be based on a IP I own. And then, like, maybe we'll do a Ransom Creek game also, because we own that IP too. So we have all these cool art assets we're collecting and compiling, and yeah, it's pretty exciting. So
yeah, that's another thing too. It's like, we're totally open to working with publishers still. It's not out of the question, but right now we're basically gonna be working on this game as if we're doing our own, just to get it done, and it's going to be a complete game, and then we'll decide what we want to do with it, whether we want to take it to, like, Game Found, or, you know, pitch it to a publisher. But there is this element in the back of my mind where I don't really care what people think or whatever, you know, trolls, the internet say, but there is a part of me where it's like, people always accused us of owning Blacklist. Like, we were the ones in charge of Blacklist, when
or
we
somehow having secret information,
yeah,
that
or
we're, like,
having any kind of control over the finances or logistics of things. But I kind of, there's a thing in the back of my mind where I kind of want to show people what it would be like if we did have control. Like, this is what we would do if we did own a company.
Yeah. I like to think too that, like, people are smart enough to know that if we were nefarious in any way, there's no possible way we would ever come back with our name on something and be like upfront. This is like for example, we came out and, like, this is the Sadler Brothers game. This is, like, the Sadler Brothers company. It's like, if we were at any way culpable for the stuff that Blacklist did, there's no way we would come up.
Except for the guy that owned Blacklist. Some people never learn, but, like, it's something that's always aided, especially, like, Lasting Tales. What happened to Lasting Tales is still painful for me, because that was such a passion project of mine. Like, I approached Blacklist and I said, hey, I want to do this fantasy series miniature line, and we were only doing board games at the time, and I felt strongly about it. Like, I think this is a good idea, because I think there's a market for this. And boy was I right. Like, there was a market for just traditional fantasy miniatures that are affordable and, you know, multi-purpose, but all boxed up in a, you know, you don't have to assemble them, you don't have to, you know, it's just nice packaging, as if it was a board game, but just miniatures. And it did really well. And we could have had a lasting game line with that. There was no like a lasting product line. There was no reason to mess that up, but they still messed it up. And it's been eating at me for years now, and I don't think it'll ever go away. But it'd be nice for me to actually, you know, for us to actually create something that we want to create on our own, make all the decisions, and show the world what we would do if we actually had control or a say in what a business would do.
Yeah, and it's also, like, notable too, because like this game right now that we're doing, I think it's safe to say it's the very first game that we're just designing completely just because we want this game to exist. Like, almost every game we've done before, there's been some sort of mandate, or we've been, like, on a contract, or, like, we've been
except
paid,
for the very first sci-fi little board game we made.
Yeah, we never finished though, right? Like we never finished that one.
There was like a pandemic style like spaceship game or something.
Yeah, it had like a it's still.
But that was just a game we designed just because we wanted to design it though. So
yeah, and it's like I think that's what this game is going to be. It's like it's more just we have a game idea, and it's not because somebody's asking for it, or we're not trying to design around how many miniatures can we fit in a box, or how the Kickstarter is going to run. It's more just I want to make a game. We're gonna have this game to do this thing we want it to do, and it's a good way to start off, I think. And
that's the other thing too is like the product itself. We won't go into too many details because it's still kind of early in development, and things will change obviously. But the whole vision is like this everything in a box, like. Keep it as simple as possible for like our first project to kind of prove to people this is what we would want to do, and we want to make sure it's ready to go. So like right when the campaign would end, and hopefully it got funded, it would be able to manufacture immediately. There wouldn't be like extra development time to like let's finish designing all these stretch goals that we unlocked the way it was at Blacklist, where it's like let's throw a bunch of concepts up there and have ideas for them, but actually have to go do the development work after the Kickstarter ends. We don't want to do that. We want to have a game done and see if people want it, and if they do, print it right away, deliver it as soon as possible. That's kind of what the goal is for this project.
Yeah, and not having any other projects in the pipe that are conflicting with anything. This is just like the sole responsibility is just this one game.
And we both have full-time jobs, so it wouldn't be something where we need to do this many games a year or whatever to make this profit or whatever. It's just we want to make this game. We want it to exist. And it's not our full-time, salaries or anything like that. It's just what we make is going to be used to fund that game, and then maybe fund more games in the future. Maybe we can actually use any profit made from that campaign to start buying new art for the next game we want to do. Maybe expand it or something.
And the cool thing too, I think it's like, I think I really want to tap into what we both got into board games for, because I think both of us are really, in different ways, we both just really love the themes and like the stories and the worlds. So like having these games that we do, having these books behind them, not only makes it cool where you can have these tie-in things where like, oh, here you can back this project and get like the game and the books to tell the story. Because like, I don't know about both of us, when we were younger, we'd buy Nintendo games, and you'd have the little instruction manual with like all the lore and like the controls and stuff. That like you want to read something about the game outside of the game. You just want to like study the game, and that's the kind of thing I want to do. Where we have this cool game, but it's also got this world you can explore when you're not playing that game. And then when you play the game, you have all that knowledge to use. That kind of just makes the enjoyment better. So, I think it's going to be a cool a theme for this. What's that? Fall down the stairs.
Sound like something fell down the stairs, yeah. But that's just goes to the show like why I really got into Warhammer back in the day was because you had this game line with cool miniatures, but also these big books full of lore and rules and stuff, so I could like have something to study outside of the game. I've always been into that kind of stuff, so like that's a big part of it for me.
Yeah, and now we're going to go in depth and talk about every aspect of the game we're developing, so you can like know.
I told you not to do that.
Oh, okay. I misread that note there, but I think we will. Like, what is that banging? Good Lord.
So, someone's dropping stuff down the stairs at Brady's house here.
But I think like we will probably have as this moves along, we'll be previewing stuff, because like it makes sense having a channel like this where we can talk about and like promote and hype up this project before it's ready to go. But we'll have more official announcements and stuff as it moves along. Don't step on that.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not going to get ahead of things right now, like about what the plan is, because the reason why we're like making so much progress on this right now is because it's like inspiration struck, and if that inspiration goes away for any reason, obviously like it's going to slow down. But I think that as long as we keep making progress on this, I think it's going to move pretty quick. Like we've never had issues with designing games in a timely manner, usually because we've been under contract and stuff like that, so we're used to that. But since this one is like just purely an idea that just was being forced out of our brains, I feel like there's going to be a lot of I think there's not going to be a long wait to get this to the table.
It's not content dump. It's not like we have to like dump out 12 expansions off the front, like like most Kickstarters do. So it's just going to be, here's a game, and that's not to say like it won't be expandable, because almost every game we ever think about, we always have that in mind, like, oh, maybe you can add this to it later or something. So there's always that option. But
yeah, I think a good way to think about it, like content wise, for what our idea is like, if you imagine a game we did like Street Masters. Like, we want to do a game that's like the Street Masters core game, maybe a little bit, more content or whatever, but that game, it's by itself, that that would be the game. Like, we would do one nice big box full of content and fun, and not bloat the project with all this other add-ons and like expansions and tons of boxes and stuff like that, and drag the project out for like a year. Just something super quick and put it out there as our first project on our own. Whatever we decide, if we do it on our own, we have to decide what our, what company name we're going to use and all that stuff. So there's a lot of things to think about, but the bottom line is, I think this is something we really want to move forward with. And that's kind of why we want to talk about it on a podcast, because it kind of not only like lets people know, hey, this is what we're working on, but it also kind of makes us feel like, okay, we're committing to this. We're going to actually do this. So.
And the company's probably going to be called Weasel Tweezers.
Weasel Tweezer Games.
Weasel Tweezer Games, because I can't say it right.
WTC. WTG.
That's a perfect segue, WTG, into like what games tomorrow.
What's tomorrow's games?
We played the new Kill Team, and you mentioned it already, but like, man, it doesn't take much for me to like be so captivated by like Kill Team's great. We play it all the time. We play like head to head, but I always have it in my head where it's like, what's missing when you're playing a co-op experience? What that like a PvP game has, that has like the perception you're doing the same thing. You're rolling dice, you're moving figures, you're like interacting with the table. But why does sometimes it feel like it's not fun or something with some of the solo co-op stuff?
Because you lose all the time?
That I did do pretty bad. But this Typhon thing, and just those objectives, like very subtle, but like so thematic. And it's like, I think it's because this product delivers this theme. And I guess I can explain what the product is more in detail, but we mentioned it before, the Typhon box that has the Tyranids and the more details.
Adeptus Mechanicus, the Battlecade.
Things from our Ratlings to shoot.
Yeah, honestly, I forget what those guys are called, like the Adeptus Mechanicus Battlecade guys. They're like servitors, I think. I'm not sure, but they're a little the chunkier Adeptus Mechanicus. I'm used to the Scutari, the lightweight dudes with the sniper rifle guns, but this is the Adeptus Mechanicus versus Tyranid box set. And the cool thing about it is that it's really focused on joint operations, because they call them joint ops.
Yeah.
No, they call them the joint ops.
That's what this.
The rules are called joint ops.
So we named this podcast wrong?
We did it on purpose, I think, to make it different.
I'm just kidding.
But there's like 8 missions in there that are joint ops focused, and you basically play a little 3-mission campaign. And so depending on if you win or lose a mission, you do the next mission that's assigned to the win or loss condition. We did win the first one. The first one was basically all these Tyranid Hormagaunts who were like sleeping by their nests, and why didn't you tell me that there was a booger on my nose there?
I told you you had a booger hanging. I told you twice.
But there was about all the Hormagaunts were like kind of asleep, and if you have to kind of sneak around to get close to the nest to drop these survey drones down the nests. But if you trigger any of these like conditions, you have to roll for the alarm, and if you set off the alarm, then all of them wake up and they start spawning. Brady's halflings or ratlings
did
got
all the work,
eaten
right?
alive.
Did all the work.
I don't think I lost a single sanctifier. My guys burned up with a lot of Tyranids. We should have kept the kill count, because I probably did all the work. I think the very first thing that happened was when I dropped a survey drone down with my Abbott guy, the hammer dude, and right after he dropped a survey down, I set the alarm off. So like the first turn, the alarm goes off. Sorry, that was the start of the second turn. And then
you're doing all kind of nasal stuff into them.
Am I?
You're smearing your nose around.
Yeah, but nobody notices.
I just kept hearing.
Oh, sorry. I'm paranoid now because I had something crusty on my nose.
We can see it though.
Then Brady goes. He takes one of his little halfling or rattling guys, the demolition guy, and he runs around the corner where there's 3 Hormagaunts, and he throws a charge and he kills 2 of them, and then
I killed one outright. One was close to dying,
and then immediately the other one went and ate him. So he lost the guy like in the first turn, and then I think you lost 2 others.
He didn't. He just got taken out of commission. He's not dead.
He's dead.
He's just missing.
I saw his head. I saw his head roll off the table. But anyway, it was fun. I'm looking forward to playing the next mission. I really want to paint these things, but again, this is one of the reasons why I'm kind of taking a break from video game development. As much as it sucks because I really like it. It's really fun, but it's just so time consuming. I would spend all day at my computer, and I don't really want to do that. Like, I want to paint my Kill Team miniatures. I want to play some video games, spend some time with my family. I don't want to just sit there and make games. The guy that did Stardew Valley, he talked about how he spent so much. I mean, he's made tons of money, so I'm sure he's happy now. But he spent so much of his time just making that game, and like it was his whole life for years. And it's like, yeah, I really like video game development, but I don't think I'd be happy working on the same game for that long. I think that's probably why I like board games, because you can make a game quicker and you can make different types of games, so you can kind of chase what you're interested in. And I think Brady and I change our interests so much that it probably wouldn't be very good for us to just stay on one project for an extended period of time. And unfortunately, that's what video game development requires. It requires quite a bit of time investment. So I'm not saying I'm done with it, but I'm taking a break from it and doing other things like painting miniatures and designing board games. So that was a tangent.
Yeah, and we're talking about Kill Team, and I think it's awesome. Mostly I just wanted to say that I think they did a great job with those missions, because that's all the joint ops needs, is they need some like structured missions and NPO cards.
The event cards are good, because I think that the game needed it, because like it's really well done in this game. It's simple. Every turn, and during the strategy phase, when your kill teams typically go back and forth doing strategic ploys, the NPOs wouldn't do anything before. There was just nothing. But now if they draw an event card, and if they don't have initiative, they would draw 2. So the 2 events would trigger, because to make up for the initiative. So that's a cool way to handle it. And I really do think that if they just did like one of these boxes a year, I should say every 6 months, because they change the editions every 3 years anyway, so this edition won't last that long, which is sad to think about.
No, I got plenty of cards, so I got plenty of content. But even if they update it, like as long as they release the printed materials, then I'll be fine to use my models still.
They still have to phase out these old kill teams too, which is weird, phasing them out when they do so many editions so quickly. So
yeah, I thought there was something else tabletop related that I was going to mention besides Gen Con. Obviously, it's a big deal. I think I already talked about the last time when I got back from Origins. I did the Origins thing, but I also mentioned I'll probably be doing Origins authors tables next Origins too. So I'll have Origins and Gen Con author tables, which if we have a game ready by then, it'd be good timing, because I'll be at back-to-back game conventions. Tabletop games, I think that's pretty much all I want to talk about. Video games, Helldivers 2 is coming to Xbox finally.
I would say it's a little late, but I'll still take it.
But I mean, they've had time to refine stuff and like figure out all their battle pass stuff, and like
there were some issues with that new faction. Like that mission we played seemed very unfinished.
Yeah,
but we played Helldivers quite a bit with our buddy Scotty from Canada. We played probably like every day for a couple months maybe.
Yeah.
But we haven't played in a while, because it's not, I don't know. We'd much rather play Xbox than sit on our computers, because we're at our computers all the time.
I've been playing more Ravens Watch again too, which is, I forget why exactly. I mean, we played the crap out of it. So probably took a break from it just for that.
It's because Romeo and Juliet came out, and we were
Yeah.
figured, let's just try them out real quick, and then it got back into playing it. And I think that's honestly part of the inspiration for the board game idea that we had, because like, oh man, this whole
like it feels like a board game. That game feels like it should be a board game.
The whole roguelike thing is really inspiring to me, because I love leveling up characters and stuff like that, but I don't always want to play campaign games that like tie up multiple game sessions. Like we had that with Iridia. We loved that game, but anytime we got together, we would play that game every time, and it's like, it's fun, but sometimes you want to play other things, and if you play other things, then you derail the campaign and won't go back to it. So I want more games where you can get that feel in a single session, where you like level up a character in different ways and try out different mixes of abilities and stuff like that.
That's why MOBAs were so popular, or still are popular, because it has that feel where it has that kind of consolidated progression, and the key abilities you're constantly upgrading in different ways.
And the randomization makes it so it's frustrating if you don't get what you want, but it makes you want to play again and try it again. And,
it's just dealing with whatever build you get is just very enjoyable.
And we actually beat Raven's Watch on the hardest difficulty for the first time this morning.
I still need to beat it with Scarlet though. I still want to do that.
Yeah, I feel like Aladdin is cheating. If anybody who plays that game, if you play Aladdin, you probably know what I mean. His Wish Ultimate is so overpowered.
And if you're at Pastech Games, is that the developer, the studio Pastech or something? If you're there, would you just put out Rumpelstiltskin already? Come on, you know you want to.
I would say if you guys made a great game, by the way. I know you guys are all listening. Every past tech listens to this.
At least
that game.
At least two of you, right?
That game is fantastic. Anybody who has not played Raven's Watch, you should. It's awesome. It is
one of the best games.
It's weird because when we first played it, it took like five games for me to actually really appreciate it. Like, it was okay at first, but you have to really understand your character. You have to understand the upgrades to really get a good grip of the game. But once you do, man, it's really addicting.
Super replayable. Even when there's not like a battle pass or something, like there's not unlocks. It's just a very enjoyable game loop that you just keep wanting to go back to, and at least I do. I just always want to play it.
That's the other thing is, like, if they put in a new map in that game, that would change. It would add so much replayability.
If they put in Rumpelstiltskin,
what would he?
He'd be little,
like a little guy with a beard or something.
He's a little dude. I don't know. It's like a gnome, right, or something.
I don't know. I don't know much about Rumpelstiltskin.
I just want a little angry guy, like a little angry dude that has like explosives or something. I don't know, but yeah, they also as much as I love that game, I was not crazy about the Romeo and Juliet heroes. Their abilities are cool, but I just don't like how it's like, oh, they're meant to be played together. I don't like that. I don't.
Yeah, that design philosophy. Like, first of all, they were originally supposed to be only playable in co-op, which they got backlash for. People demanded, like, they wanted to be able to play them individually. So they changed it, and they redesigned them to make sure they function individually, but they're just better co-op. But even that mentality where it's like, I think the whole appeal of the game is just trying different mixes of characters, and it's like being locked into a combination of characters, even if it's like just beneficial, it just seems limiting. Yeah. Like, it's just a weird decision. It's like people should play whoever they want to play, make a lot of different characters, and don't restrict. It's like the same thing with Marvel United when they had like the Fantastic Four team up abilities. Yeah. It's like, that's fine, but it just makes it so it's like there's meta where it's like, oh, we should be playing the same faction, and I don't know. It's fine for like special scenarios and stuff like that, but I'm just not into that. I like mix and match and play what you want.
Yeah, I'm saying, I guess it's good that like they got those out of their system, and now they can focus on Rumpelstiltskin or Pinocchio.
Are Billy and Jimmy Lee fairy books still?
They were originally from Grimm Fairy Tale.
I want Billy and Jimmy Lee, and they have to be played together.
It was William and James Lee.
I can't think of a fairy tale that I would like love to play as. Like, I can't think of one.
Really?
Off the top of my head, maybe Dopey from the.
Yeah, just that one. That one. Dude, Seven Dwarves that'd be a cool character. Just play as seven.
All dwarves. Seven dwarves.
Like, well, your trait would be switching between them. You know,
that would be so confusing. Cycling through seven dwarves.
Or they're just
I want to dock. I have Dopey.
Or they're just very weak, and you have seven guys to go through.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like fairy book or fairy tale characters that I would want to play, and maybe Peter Pan would be interesting.
Yeah, Peter Pan would be awesome. Robin Hood would be great. I think Robin Hood would be fun. But I mean, they already have like, it's fairy tale is like a loose word because Beowulf, like, not really a fairy tale. These are like characters of legend. So they could do, like,
if you're confused, Raven's Watch, that's what the whole theme is. Like, you're playing like these storybook characters that have different twists on them. Like, and I don't even know who the Snow Queen is supposed to represent.
Yeah, I don't know that one. It's probably a specific like Scandinavian thing, like Scandinavian like. Story.
I should probably Google that.
I mean, there's probably a story called the Ice Queen or something.
Because she's like one of my favorite characters. I like Aladdin, and the Snow Queen is really good.
It's probably what Frozen's based on loosely or something.
I think it is. I probably is, but.
So that's what we've been playing a lot of is Raven's Watch again. And then I'd like to just do a brief mention about this cool game I came across on Game Pass, which is called Mecha Break.
Oh, give me a Mecha Break.
Give them Mecha Break. It's like a Chinese studio made this like really action oriented, high octane like mech shooter, and I think it's
free to play.
It's free to play. Yeah, it's like a 3v3 or something. I don't know. It's like
I think the main mode they promote is the 6v6.
Okay. And like I could see that being fun, but it's weird because like when you introduce the game, it's very much PvE. It's like you do these missions and stuff, and then you can also do co-op missions. Because Adam and I were playing co-op missions, and I thought it was great. Adam was not a huge fan of the gameplay. But
I think it's really well done. But my biggest issue was the support mech just wasn't interesting. Like, I didn't like.
I wasn't crazy about the one that I chose, the scout mech, because it's mostly just about like doing drive-by bombings and stuff. And that's cool. It's a lot of dynamic stuff.
The other thing was the control scheme. I know you can change this in games, but I usually like to stick to a control scheme that the game is designed for, because I feel like I should learn how it's intended to be played. But like before I start changing things, but it's like the the controls for like attacks are like backwards. Like the left side could attack and the right side was defense. It's like that's so backwards from everything I've ever played.
I think they're doing that because it's like it's mimicking how the mechs are designed, you know, because like a lot of the mechs have their weapons on the left side and they have a shield on the right side or something. So
which is weird. A shield should be in your left hand.
Yeah. But like all that being said, like I see the issues, and also I should specify that because it's a live service game, you go in, you are just completely flooded with information like right off the bat. Like after the little tutorial, you just have like menu after menu after menu. But if you give it time to like navigate, like figure it out, it's like freaking awesome. So I was doing like the paint. I was into the striker bay, which they call the mech strikers, and you can like get really drilled down on customization. You can like spray paint every piece of your mech different colors. You got your pilot you can customize, and they also have like you can like run around the base as your pilot and see how big your mech is. And I read online that the developers are adding in like pilot combat, which sounds incredible to me. If I could like hop in and out of a mech, like that's like the dream for me. So if they actually do that, I will take whatever considerations possible to like make myself love that game, just because like I want to play as a pilot in and out of a mech. It's
kind of funny. That's one of the games I was working on in Unreal, was this like Rec Warriors concept. We were messing around with like a mech game where you got a pilot jumped out, and I actually got it functioning where pilot jumped out of the mech. I just got frustrated because I couldn't have like actual cool assets for all the animations for the character that I wanted. But one thing, about that game is that, like Brady said, you play through the tutorial, and after you go through the tutorial, you're dropped into this just a menu of like 20 tabs of all these things you can do in the game. And I don't know if you mentioned the actual game modes, but there's the 6v6, there's 3v3, but then there's also extraction. The extraction game mode is like a PvE/VP mode where you drop in with a group of 3 players and you just go and fight points of interest with like enemies and bases you destroy, and you get loot and you have to try to extract it. But there's also other enemy players out there that can kill you and take your stuff. You take that stuff back to your base of operations, and you can use that to get upgrades and do better. And I guess one of the big complaints about the game right now is, since it's free to play, the extraction mode is set up to be pay to win, because you can like buy all these supplies to like make yourself better. And since it's still PvP, you're at a disadvantage if people are spending money. But the 6v6 isn't pay to win, so it's just the extraction, which is weird because that's what seems to be the more popular mode. And I don't think people realize that. Game developers, I don't think they realize that. I think maybe it's just me and our experience of people, but like the competitive gaming like scene is not as popular as the like PvE stuff. At least there's probably a ton of people out there that love competitive stuff, but all the people I play games with, they would much rather play.
I think it's because there's so many casual players that just gravitate toward the competitive, because there's not as much to dive into. There's not as much to learn, because like there are people who aren't even considered gamers, but they'll still play Fortnite and hop in and play PvP just because it's like a time killer for like. So I think there's a bigger portion of people that are doing that aren't hardcore gamers. That's why it seems like the ones that are more vocal and the hardcore gamers like the more structured PvE stuff. That's what it seems like to me.
Maybe. I mean, I still play like Marvel Rivals. Like that game I think is fun. I play it every single morning with my morning coffee because I can get a couple matches in, and I love comic book superheroes. So I mean, I love Marvel. But if that game introduced like co-op missions, it would be one of my favorite games probably. Because the gameplay is really good. But to me, it's just a throwaway 6v6, like, hero shooter. Yeah. Like I don't get invested in it because I don't care enough. I am getting pretty good at the game because I play it every day. But man, if they put co-op in that game, that would be one of my top games. And I feel like there are probably a lot of people that would jump in on that game if it had that. So yeah, please add that.
Yeah, there was one other thing on as far as like video game news that I want to mention besides the depressing like Microsoft 9,000 people layoff.
That honestly had a big impact on me wanting to work on games too. It's like, man, I just can't.
It's just those big it's these big studios doing these big acquisitions. Like everyone needs to break those things up, and just everyone can do smaller studios, be fine. Anyway, there was a announcement from a big studio from Capcom that they're doing this game called Resident Evil Survivor Unit, which is helmed by, I forget the name of the studio, but it's one of the guys from Kingdom Hearts, Square Enix. Like, he's doing his own thing now. They don't have any details yet. It's like 4 more days. I think it's Thursday next week. They're doing like a big reveal. Hopefully that means also a big release. But my ideal situation is this is a mobile game that's going to be one of those like probably like one of those idle hero type games or collecting characters, but as long as it's like really digging deep into the Resident Evil lore and they have like stars members or something and like folks in Raccoon City, because the imagery looks like Resident Evil 2 / Resident Evil 3 like Outbreak style stuff where it's all Raccoon City. You see like Leon's Jeep all isolated in the middle of the street, and it has that like Raccoon City vibe. And plus, because Resident Evil Requiem is coming up back in Raccoon City, I'm really hoping this like survivor unit is a very like zoomed in thing with the Raccoon City Outbreak RE2 area thing. So stoked for that, see what that is, but I might be disappointed because it's just a mobile game, so we'll see.
Speaking of Mask, those toys are up for pre-order.
I forgot that they were like redoing that or something, or
the Mask items.
I'll have to check that out. So let's close this up. Let's call this a podcast.
Yeah, if any of you ever played with those toys, those Mask toys as kids, apparently there was this company called the Loyal Subjects, but they
where do you see that? Did you get a notification?
No, I just saw it on it's from 5 days ago. They said for pre-order, but I didn't see them on that website. It's called the Big Bad Toy Store. It says Mask vehicles and action figures exclusively at Big Bad Toy Store, but I don't really see how much they cost. But anyway, that's pretty cool. They're redoing those Mask toys from the 80s. They were some of the coolest action figures ever when we were kids. Right behind Exo Squad. I think Exo Squad took the top. But anyway, outside of video games, I actually I went to go see a couple new movies. How much is it?
$325
for all of them.
Yeah.
That's not bad for all of them. There was quite a few of them, right?
Yeah, it's that's the bundle. Let me get the bundle.
I know I went to go see a couple movies. I don't remember what they both were, but one of them was Megan 2.0 that my daughter wanted to go see. She liked the first Megan movie, and the second one is like not a horror movie at all. They made it into like a action comedy or something. But I actually had fun with it. Like it was a fun movie, really silly, but there were some funny parts, and it went pretty quick. So she seemed to like it, so that was fun. But that's pretty much. I also went to go see 28 Years Later. But I think I talked about that last time.
I think because we're talking about The Quiet Place also.
And I don't think I've gone and seen anything else. But this month is going to be a good month in the theaters, man. There's going to be Superman. There's going to be Fantastic Four, and I'm not sure when The Naked Gun comes out with Liam Neeson. But if it's in July, it's going to be a packed month of movies for me.
I think next week's Superman. I got to figure that out when to go to that.
It's going to be in the theaters for a while. There's no rush.
Yeah,
I also have jury duty this week, so that's fun.
I didn't get picked, so you might get lucky because I didn't get like the.
No, I got summoned, so I actually have to. But did you go?
No, like they said, fill this form out, and they said we'll let you know when your time is, and they sent me like a time thing, and then they said, never mind, we don't need you.
There's no form to fill out though. Like I got something in the letter said you have to attend this day, and it said I have to check this website the night before.
Yeah, that's when I checked, and it says if you're not picked, then it'll have some notification, and mine wasn't picked. So.
No. So maybe I won't get picked.
Yeah, there's a chance that you're not. But also, what you've been reading, I wanted to mention a book because I was at Half Price Books because I was setting up like an author signing, which happened yesterday actually. So I had a little author signing there, very low key. Sold a couple relic books to very nice family. A young girl who was an aspiring author. She was very excited about the first 2 relic books. So that was a fun that made the whole trip worthwhile, even though it was kind of a slow day for me, even though there's a lot of heavy traffic coming in and out of Half Price Books. But anyway, I was there when I set that signing up, and I randomly picked up the Witcher books, the box trilogy, which I've never read. I've always been kind of like tangentially interested in The Witcher. I know how popular it is, but I was surprised to see that surprised to discover that I think that is the closest comp for my Malice Light series, because people always ask, like, make sure you know your comp books, like the most comparable book to your series. And I can never really put my finger on it, because like I'm inspired by George R. R. Martin and like R.A. Salvatore and like all these different authors, but like my books don't sit with any of those that closely, being so D&D fantasy. But The Witcher is extremely like D&D classic fantasy, but it has that kind of similar tone, like kind of darker tone that Malice Light has. So I'm enjoying that. I'm reading the Blood of Elves right now, about halfway through that. It's cool, except for like, man, that's like a normal sized novel, but there's only 7 chapters, and each chapter is like that, 45 pages. It's nuts, dude.
Every time I read a book, like, I'm horrible. I'm always like, I start a chapter, then I flip ahead to see how long the chapter is.
That's how I read.
I'm like,
I have to have the end in sight, otherwise I just get so like burnt out. So, because I'm a slow reader too. But anyway, that one's good. I also wanted to mention my our buddy Mark. My headphones keep going out. Is my mic going out or just my headphones?
No,
okay. For some reason my headphones are. I think it's because you keep messing with the drumsticks and you're messing with my mic cable. So stop messing with the drumsticks. Mark A. Latham is an author. He was the one that wrote Lasting Tales. He's done a lot of games. He's done like the Elder Scrolls miniatures game for Modiphius, and he's done The Walking Dead, which is an amazing game from what's the company? Mantic. Anyway, he had a new book deal with Orbit, which is awesome. Congrats to that again, Mark. It's awesome. But it finally came out, the first book of his trilogy, which is called The Last Vigilant. I forget the name of the series. It's something like Empire of Steel or something, I forget. But really cool book. I'm only like about a third of the way into it right now, but just really compelling, really good page turner. So check that out if you're in the mood for some nice, like kind of grounded medieval fantasy. It's cool stuff. That's all I've been reading, besides, trying to reread the Malice Light while I'm working on book 3, because it's...
yeah, can I talk about what I'm planning on reading? Because I keep putting it off.
Yeah, read something.
I'm actually going to finally get it... So, I read through the Malice Light back when Brady first wrote it. I read it when he was... Basically, before it was done, like in his editing phase, I was reading that. So, it might have had some edits since I last read it.
You mean the Acrid Sky?
What did I say?
You said the Malice Light, the whole series. It's not done yet. The whole series isn't done yet. The first book was, but...
It's a series? No. But I decided that I was going to hold off on reading the second one until it was done. And when he finished it, I actually never got around to actually reading it, because he started another book, and I was actually way more
interested. Don't be like Mom. Don't be like,
you way more interested in reading Relic Myers, because like that was something different. It was something I encouraged him to write. So I flew through that one. But anyway, I need to go back and actually read the Withered Roots, because the game we're designing, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but the game we're designing is going to be set in the Malice of Light setting, and I kind of want to, be into that universe while we're working on that game. So.
But the game's going to be called The Palace of Might.
I thought it was The Palace of Right.
No, it's just switching the letters up. It works well, switching the letters up.
Oh.
I did a cover recently, a drum cover of this band Owlbear. It's one of these people that I know, the guitar player in Owlbear, Jeff. He's a cool guy. I knew him through Lorengard days, but his band's awesome. The album's called Feather and Claw, I think it was. But they have a song called As the Arrows Hail, or As Arrows Hail, I think it is. It's the first track on the album. That was really good. I was listening to the lyrics. I was like, man, these lyrics are so close to like so many elements of the Malice of Light. So I had to like cover it just because the vocals were so close to that book series. So it was pretty funny, serendipitous listening experience in the car. So had to cover it.
Cover this.
I forgot why I went to that tangent.
Have we been talking for an hour yet?
It's been 52 minutes, so it's been an hour. So we should close it up, because we need to get ready for Gen Con. I need to go finish the book that I was hoping to release Gen Con. But if Gen Con would have gone through, Mouse Light Book 3 would be done by now. But no, now I'm working on it, because I didn't think I was going to have to release it this year. But now it's like, I want to get it done. I want to have a good start on it before Gen Con, so I can talk about it at least. Yeah, and if anybody is interested in... learning more about the game as it develops, the game we're working on. Well, we should do a project name for this, just so we can like call it some code name. The Palace of Might.
No, I want something that is vague, so people that don't listen to this podcast or know your books might, just so you know.
It's just a comeback. It's just like a comeback. Cinderella
Project
story.
Rocky.
Project Cinderella.
Project
story.
Rocky. Project Rocky 2. Anyway, like we're probably going to start once we get it into tabletop simulator and start playtesting. We're probably going to look for external playtesters that we want to have people check it out. So anybody who is hanging out the Discord is interested in playtesting games, keep that in mind. We might ask you to join us in a session or two to check it out, get your input. So let us know if you're interested in playtesting.
Yeah, stay tuned. We'll have more to talk about. I'm going on vacation today, actually. I'm going to leave it
Yeah,
right
you're going
now,
to kill all the motivation, so there's not going to be any progress done.
I have my computers with me, so I can do everything I can do in my hotel room that I could do here. So,
my laptop?
This laptop, the one that you gave me for doing work, because I work on it. Thanks for tuning in, and stick by stick by for the next episode. They'll drop in. We should do another one before Gen Con, maybe.
Yeah, we'll probably do another episode this month. So
yeah, so we'll our next episode will be us talking about the game being done and how much fun it is and everything. So.
Yeah, so spread the word. The Sadler brothers are coming back to board games, so.
and that's the name of the company, Sadler Brothers.
Sadler Brothers
back on board with the Sadler Brothers.
Brady should go to bed. So.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, see ya.